Alright guys, quick look here at assembly for the QuickPit. This will be for the 3-screen. 2-screen will be very similar. Parts count will be roughly the same, so we're going to go over parts here real quick. This first part, this is the base. This is the rear panel. Already taped together in this case. This is the front panel. You can see the tab and slot design. UFC pedestal. This is a component that folds together, forms a box. These are the mid panels, which go here and here, hold the whole thing together. This is the right glare shield. These scored edges go underneath on the down side. This is the left side. And this is the center. The center will be trimmed to fit as required. Alright, next step is adding the two side panels, or two mid panels to the bottom. What we're going to do is we'll do tab and slot, and then we're going to do glue along the edges. We do not do glue in the tab and slot joint itself. Sometimes it's helpful to pinch a little bit along these edges to make sure that they get a nice fit into the tab, and make sure it's snug right up against that front edge. And position it forward or aft as required in order to achieve that. And then hot glue gun. We're going to basically run a glue bead. Alright, so what we'll do is start with holding that upright, making sure it's right the corner that we want. Now we're going to basically lay a simple glue joint. I'm going to cheat a little bit. Alright. What we want to do is hold that as close to 90 degrees as we can. Let it get set. Alright. I'm going to pull this guy out for a second. I'm just going to do the flip side here real quick. Alright, now we're going to do the same thing over here. Now it doesn't hurt in this case to actually have these guys kind of together at the beginning and use them to sort of square each other up. Because we're going to want to do that here again in just a second. So now that that's kind of squared up, next step is going to be to, again, do at least one edge on each of these guys. smash that closed and hold it just long enough to get a good flat edge there. So see the glue still moving just a little bit, so it's still warm enough. Don't want to release the pressure yet. You can also kind of still feel a little bit of the heat back there. Okay, so next thing we're going to do is along this edge, and do the same thing on the other side. And again, I have to, my glue gun's getting a little long in the tooth, so I have to help it feed. Flat. So when these are flat together, it's what helps hold the shape square, which is what we want for best fit and maximum strength. Alright, so we're going to check that glue edge, looks okay. Alright, looks good. Now we're going to come around here, we're going to do this back edge, and then we'll do the corner edge. Now we're checking to make sure that these edges here are staying square. So it's very, very important, obviously, that this sit as flat as possible. Alright, so that is the first part. That's now a pretty strong, flat box structure. Okay, so next bit is we're going to go ahead and get the front panel on. This one involves a lot of glue joints, and so it's kind of critical that we get it done quickly. And so what we're going to do is we're going to place glue on these mounting faces here, including the little tabs. What I like to do is to go here, here, center, and then the edges, and then we're going to lay it down as quickly as we can. Again, this one is the only kind of time critical piece, just because we don't have a lot of time to go through it. So I'm going to go ahead and start laying the glue down as quickly as I can, keeping in mind my glue gun's not the best here. Alright, that's going to have to do. Now then, what we very quickly do is set the edges. mess up on the inside here in a minute. But we got the primary bit, so we'll finish that edge here in just a second. Most important part is this front edge here, which we got. Now we're going to go ahead and reinforce that along these edges, there and there, quickly. See if I can get some light in here to help. Alright, so this first part is going to be coming along that forward edge where we can. Again, I'm just using a nice spread finger there approach to kind of hold everything together. Obviously, be careful not to get the hot glue on yourself because it is very painful. Alright, so the next step is the UFC pedestal. So in this case, I've actually glued the 4 corners already. And what we're going to do in this case, unlike the others, we are going to use glue in the 4 slots. And that's basically just to keep from having another glue joint that is visible on the outside. So I'm going to make sure we've got a good glue flow here. This gun is on its last legs. Time for a new one. It's 1, 2, 3, and 4. And don't worry about those little webs, they will come off. So that is all that's going to take, just to get those 4 corners in there, a little bit of pressure. And then we'll just let that sit. In the meantime, we can pull the little spider webs off. See how easy they are to clean up. Alright, so while that sets, what you can see right here is the space for the USB plug. There's access directly through for the different plugs on the unit, so nice and easy there. We're going to leave the glue gun going, and we're now down to the 2 most difficult pieces, and that is the left and right halves of the glare shield. So the intention here is to start with one of the glare shield halves. The alignment feature is this corner, this edge, and to a lesser extent this back corner. And the way I've typically done this is I'll lay these out flat. I'll match up that forward edge as best I can along here, and then make sure that this edge is close. Then what we're going to do is kind of test fit the curvature at the back, because we want to make certain that we have that minimum curve set, and it looks like it's going to work out okay. So typically what I'll do is run a bead of glue along this edge, and this edge. I'm using just the flat portion, so kind of to about here, to this mark, this obvious space here, and along there. Then we'll place it on the glare shield, move it quickly to where we want it, and then we're going to let it sit to get for it to get stable. So I'm going to start up on this edge. Did not be setting yet. So now we're going to quickly come down to that corner and along that edge. And as soon as we're happy, we're just going to press and hold. And now here on the back side where you can't see, I'm going to go ahead and reinforce. Okay, so now for the really kind of the final difficult piece, we need to lay a glue bead down along here and here, and then we're basically just going to carefully shape and hold, trying to make sure that we hit the front and aft sides, and we're going to hold that, and then that's basically going to give us the shape that we want on the glare shield. And you see it gives us a nice tight edge. Now the key here is to actually use a lot of glue. It can be a little sloppy, unfortunately, but it is kind of the nature of this part of the joint. And so now we're going to get that into position and hold. Now here on the back corner, I'm going to press it in just a touch, and that's really just to make sure that we get a good joint here on the back. So one way to do that as well is to actually roll the roll the glare shield on. I don't like to do that though. So we're going to see if we can make it stick this time. It is possible to use some blue tape to hold the tube corners down and just give it time to for the glue to set. So if we do that, we've got a good edge on the inside here. So it won't be perfect, but it will usually be more than enough to have a good look. And we'll work to continue improving that over time. So then the next, actually the final piece is this guy here in the middle. And he is ultimately trimmed to fit between the two halves. And so what we'll do is set the other side up first, and then we'll trim him as the final set. Alright. So then what we'll see is that the final piece here will actually trim to fit, and looks like it's going to be pretty straightforward. It's going to be kind of about from there, straight line coming back. As you can see, the edges turned out really pretty nice. Cuts a nice profile. And again, these are leftover prototype pieces, so the production pieces are going to be a little bit cleaner. take a little bit of Gorilla Tape in this case. That was an attempt at an edge treatment, which we didn't end up liking. We'll take a little bit on both sides there to pull that edge down. But that is it, ladies and gentlemen. Alright, coming back real quick. I'm going to finish off one of these two corners first. We're going to basically hit those two sides, and then we want to carefully work it in. There we have first half. And we'll do the same thing again here on the next piece. Like I said, this was an attempt previously to use Gorilla Tape, which I normally like quite a bit, but in this case we couldn't get the edge treatment to work quite the way we wanted. So then we'll wrap that edge, and that, as they say, is that. So we will, key element, by the way, when you're removing tape is to always pull away from a painted or colored edge, and you minimize the likelihood of pulling anything up when you do that. Now this was here from this prototype piece, so I'm not going to undo it. Again, like here, we'll come down to the corner because we know there's a edge here, and then we'll come up from that side. We got a little bit of glue residue, nothing big. Do the same thing here. Nice and easy, nice and easy. And there you have it. So again, prototype parts, not perfect fit, but that's the general gist of it. You'll find at this stage it's very durable for the installation of your electronics. And again, pretty easy to deal with from this stage going forward, to go ahead and basically install your electronics. In this case, you put UFC, 2 MFDs here and here, a third MFD down low. This has space for, the MFDs are intended to be installed basically in this space here, and that space there. That leaves room for some detail panels on the bottom. This would be the top of the integrated engine and fuel instrument. This would be, I believe, the standby altimeter or airspeed and the RWR indicator. The emergency jettison is here. The spin button is here, along with the HMD knob. We will later add some wing panels to go off on either side that will have the hook and wing fold on the right hand side. They'll have gear, select jettison, and I think probably the landing light switch on the left. So that's it. Thanks for checking out QuickPit. Catch you later.